Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. And you're here on WVDM, the GA for Justice talk show with your host, the one and only community activist, Miss Georgia Allen. How you doing? How you
I
doing? How
am
you
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It's always exciting to be here every single solitary Thursday. Time to sit down and chit chat with the community, chit chat with the audience, and just have a conversation. What I love about this show is that we're not sitting here trying to force anybody to believe anything. We want them to go out and do their own investigation and look around and try to come up with their own thoughts and ideas versus waiting for the national media to tell them what is and what isn't 24 hours a day. So I am Georgia F. Allen, and I'm here every Thursday at 12 o'clock noon for GA for Justice, simply because we are fortunate enough to have someone willing to open up the airwaves so that we can have a conversation. And that person is the one, the only, the best DJ all around, Captain 85,
all
aka
right?
the Dream Maker. And we want to always just pay homage and thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to simply talk to a listening audience and have a conversation for information as well as a conversation for correction, and also a conversation for transformation. And of course, that's very important because we do hear a lot out there on the airwaves, and a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation. And we have people believing things that are definitely not true, and they're making things that are not true into truth. So we definitely need to have people on the airwaves that are willing to challenge the status quo. And so I try to do that week after week. I try to bring you different types of information and not just the same old thing week after week. So this month, the month of June, is KUUMBA, creativity. We focus on a Kwanzaa principle every month for the first 7 months of the year. And in the last 5 months, we focus on various Kwanzaa principles based a lot from what is taking place in society. So therefore, we see situations where there are people being attacked from an economic standpoint. We may focus on cooperative economics because that's something important to focus on. But this week and throughout the whole month of June, we will be focusing on KUUMBA, or creativity. And KUUMBA simply means to do always as much as we can to leave our community more beautiful and more beneficial than we inherited it. Now, this principle also goes along with neo purpose. As a matter of fact, all of these principles kind of stack up and are interrelated in one way or another. And last month, the month of May, we did NEA, which was purpose, and to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. And so we're looking at our purpose and mixing that purpose along with the creativity and bringing about a much better outcome. And I like these two principles because they all of them strongly focus on community, but they're interrelated in order to help us to become better in our building, in our individual neighborhoods, in our individual communities, in our individual cities. And we want to make sure that we do better. As always, I like to remind people that in Virginia, we vote every single year. And sometimes we vote 2 and 3 times in a year. And, and so when we're looking at KUUMBA and we're looking at creativity, you say, well, what does that have to do with voting? What in the world does creativity have to do with voting? Well, I look at it from a standpoint is a lot of people don't want to vote, or a lot of people don't feel the need to vote, or a lot of people feel that their vote doesn't matter, it doesn't count. So we must become creative in looking at how we're going to get people out to vote. How are we going to get people to take a look at how important it is to, first and foremost, in order to vote, you must register to vote. So how do we creatively get people excited about something as simple as registering to vote? So what is it that we're going to do throughout the community? And I like to present that to those who are listening. If you have ideas about some of the things that we might be able to do, because no one person has all the answers, but maybe if we challenge one another, and maybe if we talk to one another about looking at creative ways to engage the community, creative ways to talk to the different demographics within our community, because keep in mind, we are not monolithic. Therefore, there are different dynamics that are going on in every single solitary community. So when we start talking about how do we creatively get people to vote, we got to look at the whole entire community. How do we creatively get people to vote if they're adults? How do we creatively get people to vote if they're children, young people? How do we creatively get people to vote if they are military or former military? What is it that we have to do to get these people energized to want to vote? So I'm sending that out as a challenge to the listening audience, because a lot of times, we come in and we talk to you and we have these conversations with you, but perhaps we don't engage you enough. So I'm here today to try to engage members of our community and let you take a moment and use your creative juices in this month of creativity. Use your creative juices to come up with some ideas. And when you come up with those ideas, don't just stop there. Implement them. See, I'm not the only one that can register someone to vote. Or people in the NAACP are not the only one that can register people to vote. People who are down at the voter registrar's office are not the only people who can register people to vote, nor are our fraternities or sororities. They're not the only ones who can register to people to vote, nor are they the only ones that can take someone to the registrar's office as a courtesy so that someone can vote. So there are many ways that we can get engaged in terms of, one, getting people registered to vote. So again, creativity. We're looking at creativity all month long. All month long, we're looking at creativity within our community of how we can get our people excited, how we can get our people engaged, and how we can get our people to participate. We need you to participate. It's not enough to register, but then you got to go to the next step and you have to actually vote. But in between those steps are helping other people register to vote. In between those steps are also engaging people. We got something to say, Henderson.
I want to ask, so what is the steps if individuals want to get people to register to vote? What do they have to do in order to get people? How do they go about the process?
Well, guess what? There are a number of ways that you can get people to register to vote. One, you can let them know where the registrar's office is. That's one way. Now, if you're not certified to register people to vote, there are a number of different websites that people can go directly to register to vote. The fraternities and sororities, they are doing voter registration drives. And I don't think I have the flyer with me, but they will have one on this coming Saturday at Twin Canal. And so people will be able to go down there and they can register and vote. You can also go online to the NAAC website, and you go up to naacp.org/voting, and that'll take you to the page. And you can literally go online and register online to vote. No matter what city or state that you're in, you are able to register to vote, because when you get to the form, it asks you, what state are you in? It asks you for your address. So it'll ask you those questions. And so therefore they will know where to forward your registration to. So there are a number of ways now. There's a lot of online voter registration that's available that wasn't available years ago, that is now available. You used to have to fill out a form and register to vote, and now you can do that online. I usually use the NAACP website. There are other websites that some other people use, but I generally use the NAACP website, because I want to send people to that website not only to look to register to vote, but see all the other things that are available to them as far as the youth are concerned, or looking at social justice issues and things of that nature. So, but yeah, there are several ways that you can vote, but you can now vote online. You can now register to vote online. Now, we are not, now you can't vote online, but you can register to vote online now. All righty. And so we are really excited about the fact that there are ways that you can get people engaged. There are other ways you can get people engaged. If you're one of these people who like to be involved in the community, you can go door to door. You can connect with a group or organization that is interested in voting, and you can connect with them and say, I would like to canvass. It's called canvassing, and that's going door to door and knocking on doors and checking with people. But again, you need to be a certified person to do voter registration. Now, if you send them to a website, then they can do the voter registration themselves. Okay. And so you're not actually registering them. You're just telling them a location that they can go to in order to register to vote. So that's always very, very helpful that is available to them. You can also share with them the things that matters to them. So you want to talk and conversate with them and find out what matters to you. So if you run into a young person, they say, you know what, this student debt is just absolutely dragging me down. I work all the time. The interest rates keep going up. I can't seem to get, a handle on this payment system and all. And you can talk to them about how this administration has reduced a lot of student loan indebtedness. Yeah. And then you can also send them to the appropriate websites to take a look and see if they qualify for student loans forgiveness. And if not the whole entire loan forgiven, a portion of the loan forgiven. So that might be something important to them. If you're speaking to a senior citizen, what matters to them? Their Social Security check, whether or not their Medicare is working. Those are things that matter to them. And so you can share with them that the administration has raised the amount of money that people who are on Social Security are getting. So I want to say, I think I've had 2 increases over the last 2 years in my income and all, because I'm at the age, of course, where I now qualify for Social Security. So that could be important to someone who is a senior citizen. So you want to talk to them about that. Folks who were having trouble finding jobs, you can talk to them about the infrastructure bill, because within the infrastructure bill was also the $400 a month child tax credit. Within it, there were a number of other things within that bill that was available to the working class people, to the families, to the, to moms who needed that extra money, that extra $400 child tax credit. So those are the type of things that you want to be able to talk with people about when they're looking at whether or not they're going to vote. And one of the biggest things for me is whether or not we will have a democracy. And some people don't understand, well, what is a democracy? A democracy is one person, one vote. We live in a republic, but the democracy is a form of government that allows you to be able to go to the polls and vote for a candidate of your choice. Okay. Which is opposite than a dictatorship, which basically says this is who's going to be in charge. That's it. You really don't have a choice. And you may see that a lot, even though people claim that they are democracy. The people in the nation knows that they could be in danger if they don't vote for a particular individual or particular person. And so those are the type of things that you want to be looking at. So if you care about having a democracy, if you care about being able to go and vote, if you care about what laws are passed, if you care about what privileges are being taken away, you may want to vote. If you care about a child or a friend or a relative who may have been in jail and they are now out, and one group says, we will restore your voting rights, and one group says, you will never get your rights restored, you may want to vote. That may be a reason why you would want to vote. Okay. If you are concerned about whether someone is telling you what you can or cannot do as it pertains to your body, as it pertains to your health, as it pertains to your physical well-being, you may want to vote. Because if you don't vote, then you're in a situation where someone else determines whether or not you are able to decide that, okay, I'm in a situation now, and based upon health reasons, that my doctor is recommending that I take this position with regards to this. However, a political party may say, no, you don't get that option. And you say, well, my doctor told me for the benefit of my health, I need to take these measures in order to protect my life. And they say, well, nah, I make the laws and you don't get a say. And so here you are, you and your spouse having to make a decision, and someone else is telling you what you can and cannot do. So that is why voting is very, very important. You may have a family member who becomes pregnant, find out after they're pregnant that it is a tubal pregnancy. So it's not in the womb, it's in the tube. And it's beginning to create some health issues. And so the doctor takes a look and determines that based upon what is taking place, that could cause the mother to lose her life. Doesn't necessarily mean that the mother won't have another opportunity to have a child. It may means that in this particular instance, if they even want the opportunity to try and have another child, it may be in the best interest of her health to remove that child out of the tube. And then that child may not live, but the mother will live. And so the husband and the wife have an opportunity to try again. And so these are the type of things that you're looking at when you're saying, will I vote? Do I need to register to vote? Will I vote or will I not vote? And so when I'm looking at, when I'm talking to people at this time of the year, because again, we are voting all year long in the Commonwealth of Virginia. There's primaries, there's special elections, there's general elections. Those are taking place all the time. There's caucuses. And people say, well, what is a caucus? A caucus is when a political party says that we are going to have a vote to determine which candidate we will endorse. And so those candidates will be on a ballot that only that particular party, members of that party, registered voters who vote consistently in that party. That's not a person that vote for a particular party one time in 10 years. They're able to look you up in the system and see that you consistently vote in a particular party over and over again. And so then you go to the caucus, you vote. Those votes, those particular times are not from 5 a.m. in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. They are at a specific location for a specific time period. And you must be a member of that particular party. So again, there are a number of ways that you can vote in elections, but you do have to vote in person. There's no mail-in ballot. There's no going online and clicking and being able to vote. A caucus is a in-person vote that generally happens on a Saturday, because it tends to be a time when most people are available to vote. And they generally would have 3, maybe 4 locations. It just depends. And so you want to keep that in mind as well. You have any questions?
No, it's fascinating when you say that they have to vote in person, the structure of how they determine, the parties, who's going to be leading the party.
Correct.
And, so those are the things that, most people may not be aware of. And
Correct.
by you bringing that information to the forefront, then, might get more people out this year.
Correct. So in the Democratic case, they are going to have a caucus, and we call it unassembled. It is called unassembled caucus because they don't lock you in the room. If it's an assembled caucus, and that's something else that people may not understand. In the case of an assembled caucus, you go in the room, you stay in the room until all the votes are taken. They generally are only located in one place, anywhere in the city. And then once the vote has been done, they do the vote count, and then everybody can leave. In an unassembled caucus, you go in, you vote, and you leave. And then there are tellers and everything to do the vote count. And there will be an announcement, probably to the newspaper, as well as online announcements on Facebook, social media, websites of the particular party. And that way people will know, okay, on this day, I go in, I place my vote for the candidate of my choice. Once that is done, then that is the candidate that the committee will then endorse as the candidate to represent them in a particular district. And this only happens in cases where there is a candidates are running for office, they're in the same party, and they are running in a particular district precinct area. So say, for instance, I happen to live in District 4. So in District 4, there are 2 potential candidates to run for the school board position in District 4. So therefore, there has to be a way to determine which candidate would the people in that district prefer to represent them. And once that decision is made, then the Democratic Party, in this particular case, they will decide that the person who received the most votes will be the candidate that they will endorse. And you say, well, why do they do that? Because in the Commonwealth of Virginia, local elections are not party affiliated. So when you go into the voting booth, they will have all the candidates listed, but they will not have Democrat or Republican beside their name. So if a candidate is endorsed, then a flyer or leaflet or something will come out with endorsed candidates of a particular political party, which will allow people to know that this person has been endorsed by the political party of my choice. And so I'm going to take the leaflet, and when I walk into the voting precinct, in November, because caucuses and primaries are done in June, but in November will be the general election, where by that time, the two parties will have identified the people that they are going to endorse on all different levels, on the local level, on the state level, on the federal level. They will have decided who is going to get their endorsement. So those caucuses can be extremely important because that will determine whether or not your name is listed on the designated ballot, whether or not your name is listed on the Republican ballot or whether or not your name is listed on the Democratic ballot. Okay. Any questions?
So you said that comes up in in June or
in June?
so
Yes.
what do people have to do to participate in that to make sure they're on the right party?
I am so glad you asked that. I only have the Democratic information right now.
Right.
I will probably have the Republican information in the next week or so.
Right.
But for the Democrats, they will have their unassembled caucus on Saturday, June the 29th. It will be from 1:30 to 3:30. So it's a 2-hour caucus. You run in, you vote, and you run out. So if you shopping or whatever you're doing on Saturday, you just need time to go over there and vote. They have three locations. They have Myra E. Orbendorf, or the main library, what we used to call the Central Library. You can vote there.
Okay.
You can also vote at Princess Anne Library, which is located at 1444 Nemo Parkway. Or you can vote at Williams Farm Recreation Center, which is at 5252 Learning Circle Drive.
Okay.
And so it allows you to vote from 1:30 to 3:30 at all three locations. Okay, so you can pick and choose wherever you're located in the city, and you say, oh gosh, it's almost 1 o'clock. Let me get to the closest place that I can vote.
Right.
Okay. And for the district, you can still vote in any of those three locations. But if you don't live in District 4, you will not be able to vote for the candidate for school board in District 4. However, anywhere you live in Virginia Beach, you are allowed to vote for the competing candidates in the mayor race, or if there are any other races that are what we call at-large race, meaning they run citywide. So any races that are citywide races, you can vote at all three locations. Okay. With no problem. But if you're in District 4, you still have the option to vote at all three locations, but only you can vote for someone in District 4. So anybody else in the city, they can come and vote, but they can only vote at the at-large race. They cannot vote in District 4.
So
they can vote at any of those precincts. They just can't vote on the District 4 candidate.
So the school board still has the at-large. They don't have the 10-1 or...
Oh, they still have the at-large. There's only one at-large race in both the school board and the city council. In the case of city council, it's the mayor race that's at large. In the school board race, there is just one seat that everybody in the city can run for. They have one at-large seat. And they do that because they don't elect a chairman through the at-large system. They elect their chairman of the school board amongst themselves at the school board. The 11-member team elect their own chairperson and their own vice chair. Whereas in our case, the city elects our mayor, but the city council elects the vice mayor. Okay. So you see that over and over again, that because we've had people that we know put their name in the hat for vice mayor, but they didn't get it. because they had to have at least 6 votes in order to get the vice mayor seat. Okay. But in order to get the mayor seat, you got to get enough votes from the whole entire population. That's how that works. So, with that being said, I think it is time to do a few announcements. And we have things coming up left and right. I'm excited about a lot of the things that are coming up, and we want to make sure that we announce these things and make people aware of what is taking place here in Virginia Beach. Okay, tomorrow night at 5 p.m., it's more or less a happy hour. It's called First Fridays, but due to some strategical things that was going on, we're having our first Friday on the second Friday of the month, this month, which is going to be tomorrow night at 5 p.m. And it's going to be at a place called Poolside Cooking off of Holland Road in that Kroger shopping center. So that's off of Holland Road. So anybody that's local, feel free to stop by, meet some people with the NAACP. You can join up. You can register to vote. You can meet economic development and different groups that are going to be there, some of our committee chairpersons. Also, on June 10th will be the NAACP general membership meeting. So if you're not busy and you want to come by and you want to meet some NAACP members and say, well, what are you guys doing? Share with me, etc. You want to come to the Hive, which is located right on the corner of Independence Boulevard and Columbus Street. And for those of you who live here, it's across the street from the Apex, which is an Apex Entertainment Center. Also, this month, there is a lot going on in the month of June. As a matter of fact, June has a number of, June has been described as a month that has all of these national things that are going on. So for the month of June, it is Black Music Month. All month long is Black Music Month. For the month of June, it is Black Male Mental Health Month. So all month long, talk to your sons, your fathers, your uncles, your cousins who are men, and ask them about their mental health. The month of June is Gun Violence Awareness Month. So we need to focus on that as a community. And then in June, there's June 19th. There's Juneteenth in the month of June. So Juneteenth takes place on June 19th. However, throughout the month, there are a lot of Juneteenth activities. So you want to really get involved in some of the Juneteenth activities. The NAACP will be on the oceanfront doing a portion of that. They're going to be recognizing the young lady from the SOS band. She is someone that lives here locally. I want to say her name is Miss Davis. And we want to make sure that she is recognized, because a lot of times as our people get older, we forget to recognize them. Her name is Mary Davis, and she is one of the original people of the SOS band. And so on the 19th of June at 11:30 at the 24th Street Park, we are going to acknowledge Mary Davis. And right now she sings with the Phenomenal Sounds Band. The Phenomenal Sounds Band is really going to be the ones that play some of the SOS band music and more or less pay homage to Miss Davis. So that'll be 11:30 on Juneteenth itself, on the 19th of June. Also, wow, there's a lot going on. On June 19th, there's Cocktail for a Cause. It's going to be held over at Black Eyed Peas Restaurant, starting at 11 o'clock in the morning to 8 p.m. They're also going to do a candlelight visual over there at 7 p.m. And then on June 19th, over in Portsmouth, there's going to be a blood drive because it's so important for us to be able to have blood drives because of sickle cell anemia. A lot of people lose their lives because there is not enough blood to do the transfusion. And then there is one person that I want to acknowledge in the month of June. On June 12th, of course, in 1963, was the assassination of Medgar Evers. And Medgar Evers, of course, was a pioneering civil rights leader. He was also a World War II veteran. He served as the NAACP first field secretary in Mississippi. And some of his quotes are, "You can kill a man, but you can't kill an idea." Another one was, "Freedom has never been free." And for those of you who are listening, don't forget, freedom is not free. You have to fight on a regular basis for your freedom. And then another one that he had is, "Our only hope is to control our vote." And I wanted to read that one last simply because this is a time for us to focus on the importance of voting and make sure that we don't lose how important it is to vote, because we hear a lot of foolishness going on and chaos going on, and so we tend to say, well, it doesn't matter, it's not important. But from the civil rights pioneer himself, he says, "Our only hope is to control the vote." That means our hope is that we control what we do. We control how many people we get out to vote. We control who gets elected to office. We control how the vote is properly used so that legislation can be changed if necessary, implemented if necessary, removed if necessary, for our good. And so civil rights pioneer Medgar Evers understood that. And again, and I have him on my button today. I went out, and that's Malcolm. I got both of them up here today. I got Medgar over here, and I got Malcolm over on the other side. Of course, last month was Malcolm X's birthday on May the 19th. And then this month, unfortunately, was the month that Medgar was assassinated on June 12th, which also happens to be my birthday. And so I never forget the day that civil rights leader Medgar Evers was assassinated, because every year when I think of my birthday, I always think of Medgar and how he was willing to fight so hard to work on behalf of our community. And again, this month is KUUMBA, or creativity, and it's all about us being just a little bit more creative in what we do in order to bring about the type of changes that must happen in our community if we want a different outcome. And we just cannot do things as business as usual. We genuinely have to tap into the different groups that are here, the millennials, the Gen X's, XYZs. You know, we really have to get better at tapping into those different groups and bringing them on board and listening to what their concerns are and helping them to engage. Because I will assure you, when they get engaged, they get excited. And when they are excited, they come up with some of the best ideas that you would ever want to see. And they have a tendency to influence outcomes again and again and again. So you want that generation of young people to be involved, to feel welcome in the community, and not push them out because, well, we've always done it this way. Well, guess what? There's always a time to do something a little different, a little newer, a little fresher, and bring a new spin to things. And when we do that, we definitely can see different outcomes. Do you have anything for me, Henderson?
No, I'm just listening on that half, because young people, like, with everything going on, because really they feel like nobody really cares. They just get lip service. You got the violence going on because it's like you're not getting their attention.
Correct.
Like you say, it's the same old thing, do as I say do, or, and they're like, okay, you keep saying that, see what happens.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Exactly. And as I was reading through Kwanzaa and Kwanzaa principles are really amazing. And when they talk about creativity, they get back to the origin, and the origin of it has to do with restoration. It has to do with reflecting back, and just taking a look at what the chaos is going on and how we are decaying, and it's saying to us we must revitalize and restore ourselves naturally, spiritually, and that cosmic energy that is throughout the nation. We must capture that so that we can become all that we can become. And when I started reading about that, uh, it just helped me to look at how when we come on this earth, we are only here for a season. And during that period of time, we have to do works that will bring about a legacy for those who come after us. Because when we leave here, we will become the ancestors, just like our ancestors came before us. And so we want to make sure that we make our nation greater. We want to make sure that the things that we do, our community should be better. Our community should have be more beneficial to those who inherit it. And we must be the leaders. And so creativity, it speaks to the fact that we are to reaffirm and restore truth. We are to restore justice. We are to restore harmony, balance, and reciprocity. We are to restore order. So that's what creativity is about. A lot of people don't understand that when we talk about principles, we talk about principles a little bit different than we talk about being in a religious sect or religious order. Uh, our principles are foundational. Okay, they're foundational. We want to make sure that people can relate to relationships. A lot of times we don't have strong relationships, and that creates a problem. But when we look at principles, we can then begin to build those relationships. We can get into right relationships. We can make our environment better. And so that our young people don't have to feel like I can't relate to this, because we're looking at it from a standpoint of community, and we're looking at it from a standpoint of there were many things in our community that had been destroyed, that were in ruins or what have you. But when we come together, when we build, when we restore, when we revitalize, when we work together, we turn those things around. We change those things for the betterment of all of us, and not just for the betterment of a few. And so we want to look at things through a different lens. And for me, Kwanzaa allows me to look at things through a different lens. I do spirituality differently than I do Kwanzaa. my relationship with my God, is very different than my relationship with my community per se. And so I really get back to the principle itself, to do always, always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and more beneficial than we inherited it. Because every single solitary day, every day that we live, every day is a donation to eternity. Every day, every day, 1 hour of that time is a contribution to the future, not just to our future, but to the overall future. And that future, what we bring forth, that contribution can be positive or that contribution can be negative. But guess what? It is still a contribution to the future, be it positive or be it negative. And so every day we should be looking at, what are we doing? How have we served? Creativity, making our community more beautiful, more beneficial. How have we done that? What have we done to make it more beautiful? What have we done in the community when it comes to addressing needs and issues of our community? What have we done? Have we invested? Have we donated so that the donation of life itself that we're donating to eternity, that contribution that we're donating to the future, has it been a positive contribution or has it been a negative contribution? Because that's what we're going to have to answer to. So I'm coming to a close of today's show. I hope that this has been helpful, that it has provided some information, that you've gotten a little bit deeper look at the one of the principles of Kwanzaa, and why it was so important for people to feel that as a community we needed a celebration of principles, a celebration of our traditional greatness. We needed something outside of what European history has been given to us again and again and again, that has not elevated our history or encouraged us as a people, affirmed us in any way. Kwanzaa does that. Kwanzaa says to each one of us, it talks to our greatness. It talks to the greatness of those who came before us. And it elevates the best of us. And so I celebrate Kwanzaa because it does those things for me. Now, what it does for anybody else, I have no idea. Or if they don't care to celebrate Kwanzaa, that is fine too. I celebrate it because it's principle centered. And for me, that is important. And with that, I'm going to close out with a couple of other things about the one and only Mr. Medgar Evers. Something people may not have realized. Medgar was the one that organized protests, voter registration drives, recruiting new workers into the civil rights movement. He pushed for school integration, but he also pushed against cruel Jim Crow laws and launched the investigation into the Emmett Till lynching down in Mississippi. And again, Medgar was assassinated on June 12th, 1963. And the last quote by Medgar, which speaks to what I was sharing before, is sharing the fact of our donation toward eternity. And he said, as long as God gives me strength to work and try to make things real, I will try to make things real for my children. I'm going to work for it, even if it means making the ultimate sacrifice, which of course we all know that he did. But he understood that as long as he had the strength, he wanted to make things real. And what that basically means, he wanted to make things better for his children. But he understood that making things better for his children also made things better for other people's children as well. So it was that contribution, that donation that he was putting into eternity. And he was willing to work for it, even if it meant the ultimate sacrifice. So with that being said, today is June 6th, Thursday. Every week we come to you, we try to share with you and bring to you, hopefully, a little bit of information that you don't normally hear throughout the day. So with that, I'm Georgia F. Allen with GA for Justice, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, 12 noon.
All right. That's the one and only, the community activist, Miss Georgia Allen. Don't forget to share this information with other people on your social platform, or you can text it through your phone. You can just text it. Hey, check this out. That's GA for Justice Community Talk Show with the community activist, Miss Georgia Allen. Until next Thursday from 12 until, you stay tuned. There's more to come. Bye-bye.